Alrighty, in Exodus chapter 20, verse 4 through 5, it reads this: You shall not make for yourself an idol, or any likeness of what is in heaven above, or on earth beneath, or in the water under the earth. So today we're going to be talking about the second commandment, which is, of course, what we just read. And so, in many, you could say, versions of the Bible, it says graven images. In my Bible, the NASB version, it says idols. So we're going to be talking about idols today. It means the same thing. So what does an idol mean? Well, in here it says an idol is a man-made image, carving, etc., of a person, an animal, etc., that is made out of wood, stone, or metal, and that is the focus of worship. And so, since we're going to be talking about like back in the day, what this meant, popular culture back in the day, it is said, or it is believed that there is a natural controlling force, just a natural controlling force. And what that is like, it then indwells a certain object, maybe something out of, like, of course, wood, steel, or stone. And thus, like, when it indwells that object, it gives it power. And when it has power, people just naturally are drawn to it and worship it. And so why does God forbid these idols? Well, like the first commandment that we learned about last week, was it wood, stone, or metal that loved and protected the Israelites? Of course not. And knowing that, it doesn't make sense to choose anything else other than God himself. But then here's the thing. God knew that they were going to fail at this. That's why he made it a commandment. And so in Exodus chapter 32, we will get to it. Now when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down from the mountain, the people assembled about Aaron and said to him, Come, make us a god who will go before us. As for this Moses, the man who brought us up from the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him. And Aaron said to them, Tear off the gold rings which are in the ears of your wives, your sons, and your daughters, and bring them to me. Then all the people tore off the gold rings which were on their ears, and brought them to Aaron. He took from their hand, and fashioned with it a graving tool, and made it into a molten calf. And they said, This is your God, O Israel, who brought you up from the land of Egypt. And so just after reading that, you could say, like, the process of making an idol is this. Number one, it all begins with people wanting something. And then number two is like being just human in general. We want to see things in order to believe it. And then number three, it's somehow circumstances lead up to make that false thing actually true. And so, or you could say in that moment. So it's by pure chance. It's not like real or anything. It just so happened to happen. And then when that happens, it's like we believe, it leads us to believe that the idol has power in itself. But here's the thing. The Israelites made that golden calf to resemble God himself, or you could say to worship God himself. So why did God reject it? Well, the thing is, idols apply to God as well. And so in reality, we don't know what God himself looks like. And when we do make an image of God, we are, you could say, limiting him. And of course, his real physical stature, or maybe the certain space in which he could dwell. Meaning, I will need to only have that image. Like when I'm near that image, I'm near God. You could say that. But in reality, like, God does not need anyone to make any idols of him, because he doesn't need that in order to dwell with his people.